There has been lots of talk in recent weeks about a St. Louis city and county merger plan unveiled by Better Together. News 4 wanted to find out how such a merger is working in other Midwest cities who have been through the process. So we sent News 4 investigator Chris Negus to Indianapolis today to talk with leaders there. He joins us live tonight from Indy. Chris, there is one major difference in the proposed St. Louis plan and the one Indianapolis adopted.
Well, that's right, Courtney. A major difference indeed. As you can see, the rain is now falling here in downtown Indianapolis. The building right behind me, that is the Indiana State Capitol. It's important because that's the difference we're talking about. Unlike the Better Together plan back in St. Louis that will require a statewide vote to merge the city and the county, well, that is not the case here in Indianapolis. Instead, it was pushed through by lawmakers working inside that building. Now, despite the difference on how it came to be, there are some similarities, so I came here to Indiana to ask how it's worked out. 4 hours to the east on I-70, Indianapolis functions differently than St. Louis. Clue number one, the name on this downtown tower, the city-county building. I met Deputy Mayor Jeff Bennett on the observation deck.
We're going on year 50 of this experiment, and it really, in many ways, put Indianapolis on the map.
Locals call it Unigov. One mayor, 25 council members. Bennett wasn't around when Indianapolis merged with surrounding Marion County in 1970, but today, as he looks over it, he explains its history.
The things that probably made it attractive was the elimination of overlapping duplicative services.
Was there opposition?
Certainly opposition. I think the smaller municipalities outside of the old city limits saw it as somewhat of a power grab by city government. There are obviously political opposition, Republicans versus Democrats, and the things that go along with it from that perspective.
3,000 employees. And
Ian Nicolini is vice president of the Indianapolis Chamber of Commerce.
We've done a really good job of competing for some big projects.
He says Unigov allows the region to speak to outsiders with one voice.
Having Indianapolis as a unified city and county government certainly helps. We're dealing with a much larger workforce, a simpler, more interactable, single source of contact for all of, think about your public safety, your public works, your infrastructure, your economic development incentives. All of those are going through a single source.
The city made headlines when it made Amazon's top 20 list. St. Louis didn't make the cut. On the outskirts, a relatively new airport is growing alongside an expanding FedEx cargo hub. Downtown revitalization is bringing new apartments, stores, and people. But officials here stress merging won't create some perfect utopia.
For us, it was not an overnight fix for anything. It set the wheels in motion for the Indianapolis as we know and see it today.
But Bennett is clear, instead of competing against other old suburbs, places you have probably never heard of,
the town of Meridian Hills, the town of Cumberland, the town of Claremont.
Instead, they're focused on places you have heard about. Who are the cities that you guys feel like you're competing against?
Well, I mean, when we look at Midwestern cities of a similar size, we're in the conversation with Columbus, Ohio, and Nashville, and Louisville, and St. Louis to a certain extent. But then we go beyond that. So we're looking at the Seattles and Portlands and Austins.
And just like the Better Together plan, here in Indianapolis, school districts did not merge, neither did fire districts, at least not right away. There was some consolidation that began to take place in 2007, many years after that original merger. The Indianapolis Police, they are in existence, along with a separate sheriff's office, and there are 4 suburbs here in Marion County, Indiana, that were exempt from the merger. They still have their own mayors, but the people who live there still vote for the mayor of Indianapolis. It is complex, it's complicated, it is still evolving all these years later, but one thing officials do agree on, they say there is no going back to the way it was. Live in Indianapolis, Chris Negus, News 4.